like to call to order the open session at 7 p.m. I'd like to ask our student board member, Mia Burr, representing La Quinta High School, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
After me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let the roll call reflect that all board members and cabinet are present. Our superintendent, Dr. May Vollmer, is away at a conference in Texas, and she just did a TED Talk, so we're pretty excited about that. And Laura Fisher will be filling in during this time.
So I want to take some time to introduce Mia Burr, who is our student board member from La Quinta High School. Go Blackhawks. I want to tell you a little bit about Mia. She's a product of Desert Sands, starting at Amelia Earhart, John Glenn, and now at La Quinta High School. She shared that some of her highlights is she loved learning about different cultures through the International Baccalaureate education and exploring ways that she can contribute to her school and community through clubs, programs, and leadership, which she has certainly done. Leadership experience, she's been participating in the Renaissance Web Club. She's been involved in cheer and entering her 4th year in ASB. She's also on the Riverside Youth Advisory Council, so she represents the youth of Riverside County. Some of her hobbies, when she's not doing all of this, is cheerleading, yoga, jewelry making, tennis, and baking. Do you have a favorite that you like to bake? Brownies. Go with brownies. That's awesome. All right. We always like to ask if there's something unique or interesting about our board members, and I love this one. She actually is related to Aaron Burr. So how about that? So if you can join me out front, I will swear you in.
Congratulations, Mia. Is there anybody in the audience you'd like to recognize? Thank you. Okay, approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting of March 7th, 2023? Is there a second?
Second, Tricia Pierce.
Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. Preferential vote? Mia? Fully or, yeah. You have to speak it.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with one preferential vote. Board meeting addenda. Laura Fisher, are there any addenda to tonight's agenda?
Yes, we do have 2 items. We will be pulling 19.2 from the agenda this evening. And for agendum 13.1, due to the changes in the market since we posted the presentation on Friday, the decision was made today to pull down to the outdated presentation and upload a new presentation with the new market rates. Although this isn't necessary, as this is not an action item, in the spirit of transparency, we wanted to make an announcement indicating the change.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda of the regular meeting of March 21st, 2023?
Make a motion, Tricia Pierce.
Is there a second?
Second, Alvarez.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. Preferential vote?
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with one preferential vote. Community staff and student recognition. Laura Fisher.
Okay, I turn it over to our Public Information Officer, Ms. Mary Perry.
Thank you so much, and I'm going to have my photographer of the evening join me. So my photographer this evening is Nora Diaz. She may be familiar to you.
She is just a little. And she even got a round of applause.
Well, she deserves one. So there are rather a lot of recognitions this evening. So I want to call out all those students and staff members and parents who are watching from home on YouTube. We have a lot of them here, but there are an equal amount watching, so hello. Okay, so number one, we're going to do some sports awards. So the Palm Desert High School varsity soccer team had an amazing season. They came in second in league play. Then they won a spot at CIF as a wild card team, and wild they were, as they won first round, second round, quarterfinals, semifinals, and brought home the first CIF soccer title in the school's history. And Rauk, if you could go to the next slide, please. So at state, they won their first game, but they lost the second in a heartbreaker 2-1 loss. So please join me in celebrating with the team. So if the team would like to come up here, and Nora will take your picture. I'm not going to read all the names, but there they are. Congratulations, gentlemen. You're welcome. I know how much work you put into this. So smile for Nora. A lot of other photographers out there. Thank you. And in more sports news, Shadow Hills wrestlers have been hitting the mat. Junior Kaylin Montano finished up her junior year with an impressive CIF state run while compiling 41 wins for the season and an undefeated team record in the Valley. In 3 years under her leadership, Shadow Hills Girls Wrestling is undefeated in the Valley, has an overall record of 68 wins and only 8 losses. I'm told that Kaylin has helped build the girls' wrestling program from 7 girls to nearly 100 in just 3 years. And as a team, Kaylin has helped lead the night wrestlers in the community service category, accumulating a total of 508 community service hours in 3 years. Next up for Kaylin is defending a national team championship with Team California and traveling to Fargo this summer, be glad it's not in the winter, before senior year to complete in the individual national championships. Kaylin is the 143-pound DEL individual champion. She's the 143-pound CIF-SS individual champion and was voted by coaches for the CIF-SS MVP for upper weights. She also captured third place in the Masters and is now a California State Wrestling finalist. She represented Shadow Hills, DSUSD, and the city of Indio on a trip to CIF State. She's the first ever Lady Knight wrestler to become a California State Wrestling finalist. And while wrestling recognizes individual athletes, as Kaylin will tell you, it's a team sport. And this year, the Lady Knights became 3-time DEL championships. So there are the names of the Lady Knights. Is there anyone here tonight from the wrestling team? If so, please come up. There she is. Kaylin, thank you for representing not only Shadow, but the district. We really appreciate it. And we have another Shadow Hills High School athletic recognition, and that's to 2 of their track and field athletes. So standout athlete Marjorie Lopez qualified for the New Balance Indoor Nationals in Boston just a few weeks ago, and she didn't reach out to ask me to help her prepare how to speak in Boston, but oh well. Anyway, she competed in the 2-mile event, and her time, she was placed 11th out of 112 national qualifiers. It was the 2nd fastest in the state of California and 20th in the nation. So also a cross-country runner, Marjorie placed 3rd at CIF finals and 9th in the state. She entered track season breaking the school record in the 1,600 meter, then breaking her own record in the 3,200 meter. She is currently being recruited by Cal, USC, Fullerton, and UCR, just to name a few. And she sports a 4+ GPA. Is Marjorie here? No? I'm sure she's watching, so everybody wave to Marjorie, okay? Then Michael DeTamble is the first CIF individual champion for Shadow Hills in the 300-meter hurdles. He's a 3-time CIF medalist, a state finalist in 2 events, a 2-time Desert Sun Athlete of the Year, and holds 2 school records. Michael also sports a 4.2 GPA and has recently committed to run at Cal Poly Humboldt on a track scholarship. So is Michael here? Okay, I know Coach is. So if Coach DeTamble would like to at least stand up, wave, take a bow. He's not here either. All right, well, all of Shadow Hills take a bow. And I have one more athletic recognition, and it too is Shadow Hills. So how about a cheer for the cheerleading Knights? I'm told that this year's Shadow Hills team started off strong when they were ranked superior in all evaluations at summer camp, with 6 of the team members selected as USA All-American. And just recently, they competed at USA Regionals to qualify for Nationals. For the first time ever, competing at the CIF Cheer Championships, they placed 7th out of 17 teams and were first in the Valley. The final competition was USA Nationals, and the SHH cheer team took home 7th place in varsity show cheer and 5th in the game day division. Ladies, would you like to come on up? And coaches, please join them. All right, you know how to look good for Nora's picture, right? Some down on the knees, some standing tall. Don't do a basket toss, though, because the ceiling's not high enough, okay? See, I knew they'd know what to do. Okay, did everybody get their photos? Great. One more. Congratulations. We're now going to move on to some art awards. So first of all is the Agra Art Competition, which was sponsored by the organization Growing Coachella Valley. They actually presented their awards just a few hours ago. So the grand prize winner is Anne-Marie Patterson, who's a senior at La Quinta High School. Anne-Marie, I believe, is going to be here. No. All right, so she's watching. And the other prize winners are on the next slide, so you can take a look at those. So we had some great winners, and their artwork is actually going to be a part of the Reconnecting District-Wide Art Exhibition that opens on April 4th. It will be in our hallway, so congratulations to all of the students. As most of you know, we had a lot of students participate in the Riverside County Fair and Date Festival. And among them were the junior bakers from Palm Desert Charter Middle School. And we're going to let you look at the names for a minute, but we have a little video that we're going to... And teacher Jody Facera, take a bow, Jody. We're going to run the video, and then I know there's at least a couple of students here, so we'll have them come up. Jody, do you want to bring your students up? You have three. I see two. There's the other one. So if you think that those baked goods look really yummy, I'm going to give another plug for the art exhibition on April 4th because Jody and her students will be providing the baked goods. So, you know, make sure you're here for that.
Yes.
Also at the county fair, we had a number of art award winners, and I know that not all of the schools are recognized tonight because not all the schools have yet sent me their information, but we're going to go ahead and show you the Palm Desert High School winners as well as the Madison Elementary School winners. I went to the fair and I saw some of these pieces and they're etched. It's, you know, the black on top of the gold and then they etched on top. They're just stunning. The Madison winners, their artwork has actually been delivered to me to be hung up during the art show, so they'll be here too. Is anyone here from Home Desert or Madison with their art wins? I don't think so. I think they're all watching at home. Okay, then we had, these I'm not hanging up anywhere because these are live animals. So yeah, the Indio High School students received numerous awards. So we're going to go ahead and show you their names, but we're not going to list them, but hopefully they're either here or watching. So these are students who won in a variety of livestock categories. They had, can you go back one more? Yeah. They had goats and sheep. They had, I believe there were hogs. Kelly and I went and watched the goats being presented, and it was just really fascinating. Okay, Rout, go ahead. And so this is the Horticulture Awards. So the Horticulture Awards are actually designed almost like sets that are placed in a certain section at the county fair, and the students create these like vignettes of this, the outdoor art. And 3 of them will be here during the art show. So again, make sure you come to check those out. And these are the floral awards, and the floral arrangements at the art show were just amazingly beautiful and so different. They had all different categories. So this doesn't list the categories, but the students did big displays, little displays, corsage, circular, rectangle. It was just amazing. They're so incredibly talented. And these were 2 of the other categories that were there that over the fair. Is anyone here from Indio High School and the agriculture programs? Okay. All right, the next one, I'm so sad, but Brad Fisher is not here with us this evening because he's out there working for Joe Hyde, right? He's out there recruiting teachers, and we appreciate him for doing that. But Brad was recognized at the tennis tournament by Harper for Kids as a community hero, and we have a little bit of a video.
It's my privilege to introduce tonight's community hero, Brad Fisher from Harper for Kids.
Tonight, we are excited to be recognizing Brad Fisher. Brad has worked tirelessly as a volunteer for Harper for Kids, a dedicated organization that focuses on empowering youth throughout the desert community. Brad has made it his mission to help kids achieve their best self by teaching them critical character development skills and how to make a positive impact. We are proud to recognize Brad tonight for all of the work he's doing to make our community a better place. Please join us in celebrating Brad.
Can't see him very well, but he's waving.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brad Fisher from Harper for Kids.
So I've worked with Brad on several projects, and he is an awesome individual, incredibly committed to the students he serves. Yeah. Hi, Brad. Each year, school districts within the Riverside County Office of Education nominate staff members, students, and teachers for the BEST Award, Bilingual Educators Succeeding Together. They're given in order to support the people who work to advance English learners. And the district award winners are also recognized at a dinner at our COE. This year's DSUSD winners are Angela Randolph, Director of State and Federal Programs, Alma Godinez from Oliphant Elementary, Adi Court from Madison Elementary, Sylvia Barone Vale from La Quinta High School, Ramon Aguilar from Indio High School, and me. And the dinner will be held on April 21st. Is anyone else besides me here tonight? Come on up and have your picture taken.
Yes, Mary, you have to be in the picture this time.
Each year, the local chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution hold an essay contest. I'm actually very proud to be a judge. I've been a judge for several years. And this year's winner was submitted by 8th graders at Palm Desert Charter Middle School, and the winner was Rifa Iyub. I hope I pronounced that right, Rifa. Was that correct? I know she's here. Yes? Close? No. Come on and tell me. All right, tell me how to say it. Go ahead.
Rifa Ayub.
Rifa Ayub. Okay, great. So the prompt was that the Second Continental Congress met and included delegates from the 13 colonies. And which colony are you from, and what will be important to you to accomplish for your colony? And I know she was from Georgia, where I used to live. So do you want to give like a couple sentences about your essay? I know you didn't expect this.
Well, my essay mostly talked about a perspective of a delegate who lived in Georgia, and his voice was kind of how he thought that his colony and everything that he did was correct, despite the many mistakes that he and his colony made during the Revolutionary War. And that type of snobby and entitled voice was kind of what I used throughout my essay.
Very nice. And I read it, and it's fabulous. So I did read it. It was wonderful. If you want to stand, Nora will take your picture. The representatives of DAR asked if I would specifically shout out the name of the teacher for this project, and that is Nanette Davis-Kirchevo. And she will not be here this evening, but they wanted to thank her for inspiring her students. Okay, so it's not just me who's in this area to be recognized. I have two other people. So the Desert Healthcare District Foundation recently recognized Desert Sands as a 2023 Outstanding Community Partner in advancing health and wellness in the Coachella Valley. And two of our team members were specifically recognized for their invaluable contributions, and believe me, I know they were, to the collaborative response to COVID-19. So please join me in a round of applause, and you have to come down here, Laura, for Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services, Laura Fisher, and lead nurse, Susan Cadle. Where'd you go hide, Susan? Come on. And they'll be honored on April 21st during a gala called A Night of the Stars. Woo! Yes, you were. Just recently, the 2023 High School Battle of the Books took place on March 8th at Palm Desert High School, and the schools competing were Indio, La Quinta, Palm Desert, Shadow Hills, and Summit. And congratulations to the Indio High School team under the direction of librarian Elise Freeman. And the team members were Sofia Alejandre, Heather Barrera Marcial, Eva Zapita, Marian Agana Mendoza, Luisa Palomares. And the event was organized by the Desert Sands Unified School District's Central Library Media Specialist, Ernestina Frias, and the Educational Services Support Team. So the teams, all the teams, get to select the books from suggestions given by students, and they include a variety of genres, as you can see. The students begin reading the books in the fall, and then each team creates 10 questions per book. and then submits them prior to the competition. And there are two 20-minute rounds, and you can see what the books were. So is anyone here from the team? No, but okay, so congratulations to Indio High School. So I know there were a lot of recognitions this evening, and that typically happens in the spring as we have programs that culminate and the teams have their wins coming in. But I know there are a lot of other recognitions out there, and I just want to remind especially principals, teachers, staff members that the only way I know to recognize someone is if you let me know. So please be certain to let me know so that we can all share in the incredible accomplishments of our students and staff. So thank you very much.
Okay, so before we move on, is there any comments from the board for all of our long list of community recognition? Mia, would you like to say anything? Just speak into the mic, please. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone who showed up to appreciate the awards.
All right, I just want to thank all the Knights here today. I know we have a ton of Knights. How about a big round of applause for them and their super principal over there, Dr. Dunn. I know Coach Tamble isn't here, but wishes to him out there. Hope he's watching, and also for the wonderful wrestling experience for the people that do his team. And then the cheer, fabulous folks. Thank you for coming out today and appreciate the hard work. I know it's a lot of coordination and teamwork to do what you do. And I can't forget you, Coach Davis. Where are you at over there? How about raise up? Yeah, I love Coach Davis. He takes my pull away from me every once in a while, right? And congratulations to your fine athlete. I want to tell you, I know him because he came out about the same time I restarted swimming coaching, and he came with such vigor that, he took me and just took the pull over, right? And his students were all in there, and they're wrestlers, and they're swimming. And so he takes a unique approach to his dedication to making the best quality athletes he can. He's turned that wrestling program around. I'm telling you, he's doing a fabulous job. I'm going to commend him on that, and thank you so much for being here this morning, Coach Davis. Who else could I live out there? I said there were so many Knights in the room. The only thing I could think about when I saw Joe Ledesma over there was somebody needs to build us a round table, okay? So we could have Knights at the round table, okay. But thank you, Joe, for coming out here today. It's good to see you. If I missed anybody out here, I just want to say thank you. And to Mia, right over here, it's like, what a wonderful individual. She's come out. We're going to work together. You're not going to recognize her after the next meeting because she's going to be stealing the microphone from all of us, I guarantee you. All right? So we're moving forward. Oh, and how could I forget Jody Facera, because I did see you earlier, and I wrote down Jody cooks and bakes like no one. I've known Jody since she was teaching French at Indio High School, right? And ate a lot of the baked goods that she has put out. And I'm telling you, if she did that right now and they were in the back, no one would be facing towards us. Thank you, Jody, for coming out, and a wonderful job also, too, with the students that you brought here with you this evening. With that, I want to thank you all, and let's have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Dr. Watson.
Yes, a lot of that. Congrats to Shadow Hills, to Kaylin for coming and all the hard work you put into wrestling. The cheer team, thank you for all of you guys coming. Congratulations. Palm Desert High School soccer, Mr. Alvarez and I actually went to that game. It was the first soccer game I've ever attended, and it was intense, and good job. That was, it was impressive. I mean, it was a good game. The Palm Desert Charter Middle School, when I went there, it wasn't a charter, but I took home ec, and probably the only two things that I know how to cook is what I cooked and learned how to cook in home ec. So I look forward to eating everything on April 4th. To the art winners, congratulations to all of them. Mr. Fisher, congratulations to him. I know I saw him on Saturday and told him congratulations there, so I knew he wouldn't be here today. But in the few conversations that I've had with him, he's a really great human being and a great principal, and I think we're lucky to have somebody like him as a principal. Congrats to the Best Awards, to our essay winner, and to Ms. Fisher and to Susan. Thank you for all of your hard work.
Thank you. Ms. Pierce.
Well, I just usually go down the whole list and somebody says ditto after me, but I've got to say ditto tonight because they just about covered everything except congratulations to the Indio High School Battle of the Books team. That's great that they read those novels and competed against the other schools and won. And I think that's it. Just congratulations to everybody we honored tonight. Great work, and you're making the most out of your high school and elementary education.
Mr. Alvarez.
Just congratulations to the soccer team. You know, I had a chance to be there, and it was physical. I mean, it was a full contact sport, so great job. And you don't just represent Palm Desert, but you represent the whole district and the valley. So it's a great accomplishment, and we're very proud of what you did for that school, you know, and for the whole district. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. You guys rocked it. Yeah. For tonight's like Shadow Hills night. It's well represented. Shout out to Trinity Sepulveda on the cheer team and Ms. Figueroa. So you guys did an amazing job. And kudos to starting from the principal to the coaches. It really is a team sport. Want to recognize Caitlin for all her efforts and accomplishments. Again, not just only representing Indio and Shadow, but the whole district and the valley. So we're very proud of what you're doing and modeling for others and building up that team. 100 plus people, that's something to be very proud of. So thank you guys for that. Had an opportunity to also look at some of the art, and I was there today at the award ceremony, not only representing my school, Peter Pendleton, who also won prizes, but got a chance to be there for Desert Sands. Shout out to Isabella Machado from Ms. Yanis' 5th grade class at Franklin. She took first place in the elementary division, so congratulations to her. When you get a chance, please do check out Anne-Marie Patterson's design that won first place. Her artwork is going to be displayed on a billboard along the 86 Expressway, we were told. That is an amazing accomplishment. So definitely shout out to La Quinta High School and Anne-Marie for that. Great job, guys. And you know what? There's so much going on with Marjorie Lopez and the track and field at Shadow Hills. So Michael DeTambo, man, you guys are rocking it tonight. And also, you know, for Brad Fisher, I've known Brad for many, many years. And what an honor to have him as one of our community members that's being recognized. It highlights what he does personally, but it also highlights the dedication our administrators have, not only at the campus, but off in the community. So a shout out to Brad for representing not only him personally, but administrators and the district as a whole. So great job, Brad. And our best awards, we could never overlook our EL students and the support that our individuals do day in and day out for them. So thank you guys for all your accomplishments. And Rifa, good job on the essay. So very proud of anyone who's writing and being articulate as they express what they want to say out there for us. And you know what? Also to Battle of the Books, you know, that's a great accomplishment to Indio High School and their horticulture club, the 4-H and the floral design. So IHS is certainly always in the mix when they're getting awards, so we want to recognize them. And also to our health award. So Laura, congratulations, and Susan. It's always great that, you know, during difficult times, we're there to stand up and do what we can to support the community. So thank you all for your support. And thank you guys. That's it.
Well, I think everything's been covered. So I'm not going to reiterate and read the long list, but anyway, thank you all so much. We're so proud of you, and keep doing what you do, which is excellent. And that's all I have to say. Would you like to say a few words?
Well, I agree. I think everything's been covered, but I also think we all know that Desert Sands has the most amazing staff and students. And if this doesn't show us here that we do, I don't know what does. Yeah. So thank you all for everything.
So if everybody's going to go and celebrate with ice cream or something, you guys can be excused unless you'd like to stay for the rest of the meeting. Thank you so much. You're popping. That's me. I'm popping off.
Madam President, could I have a point of order? Do we know if the computer at the end works? I mean, at least do we know if it works?
Computer's not working.
Oh, I don't know.
Can we have a request? Just, I know before they've come and brought something so they can see.
Pad or laptop or something?
They have brought something before.
Okay. Sean, is there a computer or something at the end for the student to use? Do you have anything like that?
The monitor at the end is not working, asking it for a laptop or an iPad, Chromebook, anything for
the student.
Trustee?
It's okay. We were just wondering. Okay. Okay. Number 11, introduction of new or recently promoted employees. There are none. Number 12, information. Palm Desert High School Skills USA team participation in the Skills USA state competition in Ontario, California during April 13th through 16th, 2023. La Quinta High School Culinary Arts Academy students' participation in the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America State Leadership Conference in Riverside, California during April 22nd through 25th, 2023. Palm Desert High School Professional Music Pathway students' participation in the Health Heritage Choir Festival in San Francisco, California during April 26th through 30th, 2023. The Head Start program report for January 2023. California School Employees Association Chapter 106 initial proposal to negotiate with the Desert Sands Unified School District for the 2023-2024 school year, and Desert Sands Teachers Association, California Teachers Association, National Education Association's initial proposal to negotiate with the Desert Sands Unified School District for the 2023-2024 school year. Staff conference items. Laura Fisher.
Mr. Aquino.
Good evening, board. I'd like to introduce to you Adam Bauer. He's our financial advisor for, one of our financial advisors for things like CFD or CFD bonds and a lot of capital debt issue. So take it away, Adam.
Great and good evening. And when we were last here, we took an action that we had already taken before, where we allowed for the refinancing of some general obligation bonds. And we hope that the market would cooperate and we'd be able to present positive results to you. The initial presentation we submitted at the agenda deadline actually had a different result than this. We did not think the transaction was going to work, but we thought that we owed you an update. But then, give you kind of where this all started. Jerome Powell did some testimony, and at that point in time, it seemed business as usual. Rates are going to keep going up, and we thought that we'd have a 50 basis point increase tomorrow. That Friday, the 16th largest bank, Silicon Valley Bank, fails. That Sunday, Signature Bank gets taken over by the state of New York. So you have two bank failures, and it just seemed like they came out of the blue to a lot of people. What that did was it caused rates to start going down, and then you saw more troubled banks. Like even today, you see First Republic, Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan trying to save it. And you continue to see that UBS taking over Credit Suisse this weekend. So we really geared things up, got that disclosure document out to investors, but really didn't quite have it where it should be yet. And then when Credit Suisse came in and took over, UBS came over, took over Credit Suisse. That caused a lot of distress. People were really nervous about things because it's no longer just about regional banks. It's about Swiss banks, and who knows where else this contagion goes. Basically, Saturday and Sunday rates just keep dropping. I'm doing everything I can not to text Mr. Aquino and bother him on the weekend, but I'm thinking games on Monday morning. 6 a.m., game was on, but the investors weren't there at first. So we get this in the market, for the first 20 minutes, no orders show up. And so I'm thinking, man, all this monitoring, and this is not going to happen. Then 20 minutes into it, the back end of the bonds, the longer dated maturities, all sell very easily. And then it goes very slow. We get a retail order for $500,000 on the front end, the shorter maturities. Still not much. We get a $2 million order for like 5 years out. And then all of a sudden, we just have an avalanche of orders flow in. And then we get oversubscription. And all I'm trying to do is now get to that final pricing call. I want to wrap up the order period. Like, we have the orders we need. Let's get this done. Underwriter wanted to continue bringing some orders, and they did a good job at that. But you ended up with a better result than we expected. And that's what this presentation is all about. So I'll get into some of the details here, but it really did work out in a positive fashion. So if we go to this slide, when I was speaking with you last, we really were just coming off that peak there that you see in the far right of each one of these charts. And it just kind of stayed there. And if you look at the chart to the left, you can just see exactly how tight that was and not really moving too much. But the things I described over the last 2 weeks were the big changes. So if you go to page 3 here, how I talked about the kind of change in sentiment over the last 2 weeks, and I'm looking at that bottom chart there to the right. The green shows money flowing into the municipal bond funds. Red shows money flowing out of the municipal bond funds. The reason why this is so important is these folks buy the majority of municipal bonds, and you're selling municipal bonds. And what you hopefully notice there on the far right are 2 green bars. That's the 2 weeks that I've been talking about. That's where investors were coming in and more interested in safe things like desert sands bonds than things like regional banks. And so that's what you saw there, was that inflow, that interest from investors really helped drive the demand and rates lower. This chart is, I think, pretty interesting. What it tries to do is show your results if we had priced on different dates. And we really started kicking this thing off, and I'm at the bottom table there. It says February 1st, 2023, we had 4.41 net present value savings. And then you can see there, between February 1st and February 28th, all that is eroded. And we're below that threshold of 3% that I told you that this is worth doing. We get a little bit better at the beginning of March, but then check out March 16th. This is where we decided, let's go for it. We're getting really close to that 3%. And then finally, you can see there, we're at 3.29. Just to kind of put some of this in perspective on how rapid market movements are, if we were to do this deal today, it would not work. And so rates just moved away from us this morning. And so it really was getting ready. I mean, your district staff did a pre-pricing call on a Friday afternoon, which I think I've done 3 or 4 times in my career. But then to be able to get that's the only way to get the bonds in the market Monday morning. So that really worked out well with timing. This chart shows, once again, kind of all your debt, but those top 2 blue ones are the ones that are refinanced and will no longer be outstanding. And so really had a positive result with your GEO bond. So thank you for taking the actions to allow us all to move forward with this, and we were able to execute on some pretty limited timing. So last time we answered some questions about how much savings per household and things like that. There are 55,497 single-family residential units within your boundaries. One of the reasons why your GEO bonds are such a good credit is because it's spread across so many people, and each individual makes up such a small portion of the total. And so the average AV, this is not market price, this is the assessed value, which gets taxed, is $363,000. I know you can't buy many homes here for that. These people have owned the homes for a long time, and that number is lower than actual market value. So this only turns out to about $12.50 savings for each one of those homeowners, or $1.57 per year. But in large part, that's because they aren't paying that much for this debt. It's spread across so many different people. But we provided that information last time, so I wanted to give those updates there.
Adam, can you also just really quickly talk about how we were the only ones in the market as far as timing being of essence and how we were very fortunate in this circumstance?
Yeah, it's really a choppy market, so there's not a lot of debt from municipal entities like school districts, cities, or counties out there. And so one of the leverage points we had is you either buy Desert Sands, and we either hit our threshold, or there's nothing for you to buy. And so when a mutual fund or someone does credit review, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And they don't want to walk away with nothing, right? They have to then either put it in like a money market or something that earns very low. And so we really had that leverage point as either buy at this level or there's nothing else for you. The only other deal that's in the market is we're pre-pricing tomorrow and pricing on Thursday, and that's the Moreno Valley Community Facilities District. And so it's kind of interesting. Only 2 deals in the state of California are both in Riverside. But either way, that's the only other transaction market. That deal's $3.5 million. And so it's a very different investor base. It's unrated, where as you know, you have very good ratings. And so you really were the only game in town.
Yes, thank you. And as Adam was mentioning about the $12.50 over the 10-year period, I do, the board, with us maintaining our AA2 rating, that's just a reflection of our commitment to sound financial practices. And not only that, but messaging to the community that we are good stewards of taxpayer dollars, and we'll take every opportunity we can to save taxpayers their money.
Great. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to work with you on this. Now, we do have another presentation that really focuses on the next steps of looking at 2024 a GeoBond measure. And so if it's okay to pull that up. The majority of this presentation are the same slides I showed you. But one of the things that we had talked about was the more times we present it, the more things that you understand about it, and it creates other questions. Some available for any questions as well. But I had mentioned that the median AV within your district boundaries is $363,000 per single-family residential unit, but all that aggregates to $48,443,000,000. Oh, I'm sorry, I should have got you that page. And that's what's on this page. And you hopefully notice that chart with the bars on it. You have a pretty consistent assessed value. Before the Great Recession, you wrote up assessed values very well, but you also had a little bit of a pullback, but not as much as a lot of other districts in the Inland Empire. And so then another thing I pointed out to you last time we spoke about this was each school district gets a statutory bonding capacity. Now, you need voter approval to access it. One thing that is, I think, such a positive about Desert Sands is how little of that you've actually issued. So if you look at this bottom table on the far right, your gross bonding capacity is $1.2 billion. You actually only have $374 million worth of bonds outstanding, and so your bonding capacity has $836 million remaining. We work with a lot of districts that actually have to get a waiver because that net bonding capacity actually goes below zero. And so you have to go to the state and get a waiver to go above that. So the fact that you are at such a low percentage of that, I think really shows how sensitive you've been to taxpayers and how you've worked to combine your measures and look at them in aggregate, where a lot of districts end up just stacking them on top of each other. So I think that's a real positive for what you're looking at doing now, is you've been very sensitive to your tax base and you've done a lot with it. So slide 3, see, when we submitted this to your agenda deadline, we didn't know that these top 2 would be able to be refinanced here. And so we still list those there. But those are 2 that are refinanced. You already saw the same slide in my other presentation. And what we detail on slide 4 is measure K and KK and how they fit well together. So first thing I want to address is, why does that red line drop? And that's because you have 2 GeoBond measures, and each GeoBond measure gets its own tax rate. And so when you lose one of those maximum tax rates, and so you can see it drop down there. So each one would get $60 if you had the full amount. You can see that even with your 2, you're not near that. So that's, like I said, that's partly why the amount of bonds you've actually issued is very low compared to your statutory bonding capacity. And then you can see there how you've worked with your prior measure, the 2015, 19, and 20, and how much was generated from both of those, or I mean all three of those. And so then on slide 5, what we're detailing here is what would it look like if the district issued or if first the board and then the voters supported a GO bond measure of $675 million. And how would that work if we layered it in with a tax rate of approximately $75 per 100,000 assessed value between the measures? And you can see there, that's how we layer that in. Now it does drop off in 2045 when you only have that one measure, but layering in and targeting that $75 per 100,000 shows you kind of what you could generate there. I think a few things to point out is that chart in the middle, that's tax rate per 100,000. Years are on the horizontal axis. Another thing to point out is just like your last measure, you don't get all the money at once. You issue it over time. And so we have 2025, 27, 30, and 32 where we issue those. Now, all the other slides look very similar. It's just different numbers. And so what I was hoping to do is just take you to this slide, and this slide summarizes all that. And it says, if we do kind of a tax extension, what can we generate? And that's that first item there. And then if we do individual tax rates and have this stand on its own without factoring in the other two measures, what could you generate under those scenarios? And we've detailed everything from 20, 30, 40, 50, and 60. And then showed how much you could generate for projects and then how much that would cost your taxpayers to repay. And then one slide I have not shared with you is this one. And this one tries to detail the process that you'd undertake. The phase that we'd be in now is that dark blue. You're working on your facility master plan and making some adjustments to that. That's a very key point in this. The other thing I told you would be important to understand is get an independent survey and understand how your community feels about a variety of issues. Some of those are school facilities. Some of them are how do school facilities stack up to other issues within your community? How tax rate sensitive is your community? All those things we'd understand by doing an independent survey. And so that's that dark blue there. You can see that the gray and the light blue kind of merge together. There's not a distinct beginning and end. And you can see a lot of the projects that get listed there. And then finally, when a board calls for election, you're now in that advocacy phase, and there's a different approach to things. And that is no less than 88 days prior to the election. What we've detailed down below are the two election dates that you can consider, March 5th and November 5th. You have to call for an election no less than 88 days. You can see there we have December 8th and August 9th. That December 8th is a little misleading. We have CSBA just before that. Then before that we have Thanksgiving. So really think of November as your deadline. Middle of November is your deadline there. And one of the things I was tasked with was reaching out to that independent survey consultant. This person is a statistician, and what their proposal is to get 500 participants. That's a little more than normal, and that gives you a little, hopefully a smaller margin of error, more precise data. And their fee is $28,850. The important thing about this is you've heard me say independent a few times. Like, you don't want me doing your survey. I'm biased. Like you saw me at the weekend obsessed over your bond deal. I want certain things for you, right? We want this person to have independence and say, Desert Sands is a go, no go, and if they go, here's the things they must consider. And then they're out of it. And then we might circle back and ask them questions, but they've been paid. There's nothing left for them to do unless we do a tracker survey. That's what this firm does. They do their survey 3 different ways. They call people, and as you know, a lot of us don't answer. They email, and they have ways of getting people to respond to that and tracking that someone didn't complete that like 4 or 5 times. They have a unique ID number. And then they even text, and they use that ID number in that process. Then they take all 3 of these sources of gathering data, and they compile it. And they make sure that one isn't skewed one way or the other, right? They want to make sure that all 3 of these line up, and that's how you get to that 500. They also do stratified sampling, where they can tell you a Republican and a Republican that live in your district boundaries, here's how they tend to vote on things. A Democrat Republican have 2 kids, Here's how they vote on things. And you can really get down to messaging and understanding how your community feels about different issues within your community. And so this would be the next step, is we would work with district staff, and we'd have this person prepare the survey, get it out in the field. That's about a 2-week process where they gather this data. They bring back results to staff, and then we would bring those back to the board after those results were compiled in a pretty user-friendly format. And here's a more detailed schedule. I shared this with you last time, and then we mixed in red and black to try to highlight which one was for March versus November. One of the most important things, we can't tell you whether March and November is the best option for you right now. I think when we talked last time, I think we all kind of had the gut feeling that November would be, but we don't know what else is going to be on the ballot. This survey is a first step in understanding, because they get the likely voters for both one of those election cycles. And then it's up to all of us to continue to monitor how things have changed between the survey date and we might have to make a decision like this. So there's a lot less questions this time. So either one, hearing it a few times makes a little more sense, or two, you're saving all those questions for me now.
Do you have any questions? Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
Do the property taxes we pay build the schools?
Yes. When there's a general obligation bond involved, then the voters have voted in a tax, and that tax goes to repay bonds. The bonds are sold as a loan, and that's sold so that a lump sum of money is set aside to build schools. If everything goes well, that allows the school district to also get matching funds from the state. And so it's a combination of the taxpayers, like you said, paying to build schools in the district, but also the taxpayers in the state as a whole to build schools.
So the average home pays how much per year?
So the average home was I don't have that exactly. Give me a second. So I told you the median home was $363,000, and our tax rate is $75 per 100,000 times 360. $272.25.
Sounds good.
Did you think you're going to get me?
Almost did.
Oh no, thank you. I'll defer to my colleagues and play cleanup if I need to. No, I love the report. I love the fiduciary, that you've done before in the past, and showing that's really a nice visual, I think, for especially those that they receive the report either via video or live here, that shows how we've been able to maintain our balance between the taxpayers, concerns and understanding their needs, and also to building the fine schools that Desert Sands has continued to do so. And I want to thank you, Adam, for that. That's a really great presentation.
Great, thank you. And you've done a lot with what you've asked for the community.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so I just have two questions about the research. Are we asking the community thoughts on what the facilities and district needs are? Are we giving them the different rates, or are we just asking them if they think that a bond is necessary for our needs?
We're intentionally not asking that last point that crisply. It starts off with saying this is a survey about the needs within the community, and kind of getting we don't want to bias the sample and only get people interested in schools or not schools. And then as you go through that, it gives, if a GeoBond measure was on a ballot, it gives a sample ballot, and we get a feel for that. Then from there, we ask about important issues. When I say we, the consultant and the district team helps. The importance of issues. And so you get a gauge of how important is improving school facilities compared to streets, roads, crime, safety, and tax rate increases. So for example, if tax rate increases is more important to the community, avoiding them more important than schools, that's a bad sign for us. Right? So it kind of gives you a gauge of how all these different things stack up in your community. Then from there, they start asking about the tax rate and kind of getting a gauge of where you start high and you kind of work your way low. That's the first interim test. Then you go through and talk about positives and negatives, and then see how that impacts things, another test. And then at the end, you go back through and talk a little bit more about the bond, and you have your third test. So you get to see how different arguments impact or don't impact the support of the community. So you're not asking, should we do a GEO-bond? You're asking all these things that would impact a GEO-bond.
And then on that, are we also asking those different time frames in those?
We aren't asking that expert is able to determine who are likely voters at each one of those. So they don't know how an individual votes, but they can pull all of our records and tell how frequently we voted. And so they can say, Adam is a perfect voter. He votes every time, no matter what. Now you have the other people who only show up during presidential cycles. They can they can put all those people in that basket. So they use that to separate and build, and that's probably why 500 is important, because it might be difficult to find a large enough sample size for like March.
Okay, that makes sense.
I had a question. We have about 55,000 homes, actual homes in the area. I know our population is about 42,000, so we have a lot of snowbirds that aren't full-time residents. So they probably vote in their country or another state, right? And so those people would not be, you have a way to filter those out and actually be surveying people that live here full-time?
They would be surveying your registered voters.
Our registered voters only, so none of those other people would be even involved in the survey?
Unless they were somehow registered to vote here.
Yeah.
There's stuff that they don't really want, how do I say this? They're able to take your voter file and use all these different aggregated data sources that track us. Link up phone numbers, link up emails, link up cell phones to them,
Yeah.
and then that's why we get all these calls, right?
Yeah.
Is someone has done that every time you get one of those calls. That's what these folks do, is they're able to track people down with those available resources.
So the text one, if I got one, it would just say something, and if I answered it, it would ask me another one, and if I answered as long as I stuck to it?
I don't think so. I think they're
No?
going to try to get you to actually. I don't think they're going to. That would not fit well within the whole survey.
Oh.
So I think they would text you to say, hey, if you're interested, here's a way to go online. Here's your user code. It's probably get you to the same place that email gets you to. But that's a specific. I don't know precisely, but we could follow up on that one.
That's all right. Thank you. Thank you for your report.
Let's turn to slide 11, please. And let's just go through each of a section just so that we understand it and those watching at home in the audience knows exactly what we're looking at. An example would be second line of, let's just take 20 for example, right? Max tax rate of 20. So we get from the 20, 280 million is what we're asking for, but out of that we only get 278 million.
That's correct.
And it's going to end in 2054, but to borrow that amount of money is going to cost us 505 million. Correct?
Correct.
And yearly we'll get, for example, roughly 17.4 mil to do projects.
So that last column is basically, you don't really get that. You use that to pay back the bonds. But that 505 for amount paid, that is, you are lower. First of all, I'm using conservative assumptions, so hopefully it's lower than that. And you're going to have chances to refinance like we just did on Monday. But that number is low when you look at borrowings. So you get the benefit of these bonds being tax exempt. And so your interest rate's lower than it is. So if a similar rated corporation tried to borrow money, they would have to pay a higher interest rate than you because the investors would have they have to pay taxes and interest. So yeah, so this interest rate, you're very low in the environment of borrowing.
Yeah, I'm not worried about what others are going to pay. I'm just worried about what our constituents are going to pay and what we're going to pay as property owners. But it's just, to me, I'm just looking at the debt service, and it's not quite double, but it's pretty close when you look at the numbers. And that's just what I'm I'm trying to process through.
Yeah.
As a debt service, just it's a lot, and I think that's one of the reasons why, we do have some great facilities in some of the schools, and some need some support, but it behooves us to make sure that we're maintaining the great things that we do currently have, and making sure that we're doing the upkeep and maintenance so that we can ensure that we try to avoid doing these as much as possible. But I really appreciate the thoroughness that you've provided us and affording us the opportunity to get some questions out. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have no questions, but thank you so much. This is like a whole different language to me, so I appreciate the effort and everything that you've done to make it more, amicable for me to understand. So, but anyway, thank you so much, and thank you, Jordan, for your hard work. Thank you so much.
Just so the board note, we will continue to provide communications to the board as we go through the process. So item 23.3 on the consent agenda is the feasibility survey that Mr. Bauer talked about for your consideration.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now I'm handing it over to Mr. Aquino again.
I'm back. Sorry, you still get a little bit more. I'd like to introduce you to Chuck Lewruski. He's our Director of Transportation. We're here today to talk to you about the Home to School Transportation Plan. This is something new that school districts haven't had to do. It's as a condition of receiving additional funds, reimbursement funds from the state. School districts haven't received augmented funding in their transportation department before I even started working here. It's been really working in schools, which was early 2000s. So now, in order for us to receive this funding that we can get from the state, we're required to develop a transportation plan that describes the services that we'll offer to our students for transitional kindergarten through 6th grade and inclusive of low-income students. So this is something new that we are required to perform. The plan describes transportation services that we offer to our students, and it basically outlines everything that we currently have in our board policy and how the services that we provide to our students are accessible for students with disabilities, homeless, and also how our unduplicated students will have access to home to school transportation with no charge. The plan also requires that we consult with our educational partners, local air pollution control districts, and regional transit authorities. I just want to add there are many districts throughout the state that have elected over the last decade to disband their transportation departments and only provide services to students who have transportation outlined in their individual education plans. However, through our fiscal prudency, our district continues to provide transportation for our students.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to say thanks to Cabinet and the board for allowing me the opportunity to talk a little bit about this plan and a little bit about our department and some other things. The first slide I'm going to cover here is one on the scope of transportation services. As you can see, our current radiuses for student transportation at this time are TK through 2nd grade or 3/4 of a mile, which means any student that lives beyond 3/4 of a mile, if they are a TK or a 2nd grader, would qualify for transportation. Any student or grades 3 to 5, if that student lives beyond 1 1/2 miles from school, they would be allowed transportation. And then for 6th grade through 8th grade, the same would be 3 miles for those students, and as long as they lived farther than 3 miles. Something I'm very excited to talk about is the new board-adopted administrative regulation that was adopted 2 or 3 board meetings ago. And what that actually does is that allows students that are living in non-transportation radius areas the opportunity to request transportation to existing bus routes and on buses that are not currently full, and we have quite a few of those. So what does that provide? So for one, if you look at a situation where you have a TK through 2, say for instance you have a second grader going to an elementary school and the sibling happens to be a third grader. Well, if those students live in a house that's a mile away from their elementary school, only one would qualify for busing currently. What this would allow us to do is have the parent request transportation, and if the space is available, which more than likely it will be with how many students we have in the buses, that student would be allowed to get on the bus, which is great. It's great to be able to have those families put both of the siblings in a bus instead of putting them both in a car and driving to school and crowding some of our schools. The other thing that's really good too is if you take into consideration maybe a sixth grader that lives 2.5 miles from school and would, in most situations have to walk or get transportation because they're 2.5 miles away from school. Well, if they have the opportunity or the parents is willing to take them to a bus stop that's maybe 3/4 of a mile or a mile away that's maybe in the opposite direction of school, and that is a current bus stop and we have availability on that bus, that student would, that parent could request transportation, and if we have that available, we would provide a bus pass to that student and give them the opportunity to ride on the bus, him or her. So what kind of services do we currently provide? Of course, we're doing student to school and home. That's what we do every day. We do field trips, excursions, all kinds of school activities. We take kids to the fair, activity benefits, just everything that we can possibly do that benefits the students, we try to do for them. And as you guys are aware, I would assume there's more activities and more things going on now than we've ever had in the past with different funding and things like that. The students are really getting the opportunity to go see a lot of stuff, and we're doing everything we can to get those students to those activities. In addition, we do special services mandated transportation, which is, it's a very consuming type of service. We're taking students from one end of the valley to the other, so there's a lot of transportation that goes on there, and we're providing that as well, and we're doing it all at no cost. There's a lot of school districts that do charge parents for transportation, but we have never done that, and I'm glad we don't. I'm glad we offer that service to them at no cost. Who are some of the people that we reached out to when we were developing these plans? We talked to parents, we talked to students, we talked to classified and certificated staff. We also presented information to local transit agencies and also air pollution and air quality management districts, and then school administrators as well. What kind of input did they give back? A lot of what we hear a lot of already, but I think what this plan does is it gives us the opportunity to listen to some of these things, because this has to be reevaluated every year, and we have an opportunity to look at them, maybe, investigate some different things and keep implementing more stuff. Some of those things that were brought up, obviously reducing distances, high school transportation, which is always a big thing. But then there was something that I hadn't heard previously, which came from a teacher, and that was maybe funding some of the programs, the AVID programs, and some of those other ones that are typically, when trips and stuff like that happen, are typically paid by the parents. So, their thoughts were, well, maybe we can, use some funding to do that to offset costs for the parents, which I thought, was a good idea. The transportation department, we have 90 employees in the transportation department, and out of those 90, 71 of them are bus drivers. And the other 19 are support staff. We have mechanics, we have dispatchers and routers and supervisors and everybody, but the department in itself is made up of 90, and then we try to get as many substitutes, certificated substitutes to help when we're in need. We have 57 routes, and we have 105 buses. Out of those 105 buses, it's about a 50-50 split on the special needs buses and the regular ed buses. All of our Basically now, with some recent purchases with buses, all of our buses now pretty much have air conditioning. Well, I should say not all of them have air conditioning, but everything we need to transport our students, and then some have air conditioning. So in most cases, all kids are getting to school and getting to their trips and everything in an air-conditioned bus. So that's good, and that's something that I know people have been looking for quite a while. What's that? Oh, okay. And then last, just a little bit about staffing and some of the national surveys, and then how we stack up with that. So in 2021, a national survey estimated that 81% of school districts reported not being able to sustain enough school bus drivers to fill their needs. In 2022, a national survey showed that 57% of school districts had a considerable shortage of drivers. And then in 2022, EdJoin listed 898 open bus driver jobs in California. Currently at Desert Sands, we have 5 vacancies for drivers. We have 3 licensed substitutes that we hope to fill 3 of those 5 vacancies within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then I have 5 substitutes that are currently going through training, and hopefully we'll have them certified to drive buses here in the next couple months. So what I can tell you is that our staff does a really good job at training and get people in, and we haven't typically had a lot of issues. We've run into a little bit more now with a lot of jobs that have been created here at the district, and our employees wanting to get 12-month jobs and 8-hour positions and different stuff like that. So has it been challenging? Yes, but we've been able to get through, and we're really close now to getting back to full staff where we can provide even more services and expand and do more trips and all that sort of stuff. So I'll let Jordan wrap this up and then answer any questions.
So just real quickly, I know the board has some questions they'd like to ask. Just wanted to show you what our budget looked like prior to receiving this funding. So we received 1.8, which is, in a technical sense, also the local control funding formula. It's folded into the big picture of things, but it is provided as a carve-out. With the augmented funding, we're receiving an additional $3.26 million. Now, overall, our budget for the revenues, basically that $5 million, 35% of that is the old funding, 65% of that is new funding. When we look at our expenditures, again, like we've always talked about in our budget presentations, even with the general fund, the big picture, where typically you're around an 85% to salaries and benefits for the budget itself. And transportation services is not immune to that uniqueness when it comes to salaries and benefits, also making up 84 to 86% of the budget. So you can see here last year it's about 84%. This year it's about 86% of the budget. And so even with the augmented funding, and I believe the last time districts received augmented funding was in the early 80s with regard to transportation. So it's been a really long time that any school district has received additional funding from the state to supplement its current transportation program. And you can see overall our general operating expenditures in the transportation department, the district has provided a contribution. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of districts over the last decade have eliminated the transportation services for a variety of reasons. The economic recession hit, and it's a way that when they folded the transportation funding technically in the local control funding formula, districts had almost an out to eliminate those services. We, as a district, did not do that, but you could see the financial impact and the contribution that is required to sustain a transportation department regardless of the funding that we get from the state. Now, I separated out the capital expenditures as a one-time because those things can fluctuate. As Mr. Lavruski mentioned, we did a lot of strategic planning with regard to our use of ESSER dollars and got buses that we could with all air conditioning, so no students can have any situations of heat during the summertime, which can affect cognitive abilities. learning in the classroom. And so that expenditure from the previous year of $4.1 million was completely ESSER dollars. Now, moving beyond the ESSER and all these one-time dollars, there is going to be a period when buses will need to be purchased again because they have a life expectancy, I believe, of is it 20 or 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, 15 to 20 years.
And they're not cheap. It's like $250,000 to $400,000, depending on the type of bus you're getting each. And that is it. So any questions?
Mia, do you have any questions?
So first, thank you for your presentation. The collection of statistics, I found it was really informative and impressive. And as someone who's in an environmental club at their school, are there any actions being taken to consider environmental costs of these buses?
I can tell you that we're looking at a lot of different opportunities for grants and different programs for electric buses, for also using renewable natural gas, because all of our big buses are CNG, compressed natural gas. So there's a way that we can actually get some rebates by having the renewable natural gas, by using that. We don't actually get it into our buses, but it's just a way to basically account for the renewable natural gas that's getting put into the line. So yes, we're always looking at that, and there's a lot of grants and things that we're looking to apply for in that area.
Yeah, I just want to add, we did apply for electric buses. The state gave significant funding to a lot of school districts. We fell just right at the end line before the state ran out of funding. So we continue to look for things like electrical, as far as financing goes, we would have to support that with some infrastructure in the department, but we are currently looking for those types of renewable sources and sustainability.
Yeah. And we are in the process of a grant now, which I think we have a pretty good chance of getting some funding for what we would use for electric buses, and we would use those for some of the special services buses at this point.
Okay. Thank
you. Thank you, Student Trustee Burr.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch seats with her right here and just be at the side. Thank you again, Mr. Labruski, for a wonderful presentation. The only question I'd say is I've been, as a coach, able to ride on the buses on the weekends and stuff, and I want to say I find them all immaculately clean and efficient, and the ACs. But also another point is I always tend to incognito, right? I always ask, hey, how do you like it? I've never heard anybody that is driving one of our buses ever say, and they love it. Yeah. A lot of them love it, and I think I've written some kudos up to some of the folks back in the past, but I want to tell you that it's really incredible, the staff. I'm so impressed with the busing because I always say there's a couple things that we do here at Desert Sands that none of the other districts actually do with efficiency, and one of them is our own fleet, and the fleet being modern, clean, efficient, but also too with the fueling station that we have there, that we also provide the services to neighboring districts. So just hats off to you, hats off to the drivers and all these staff, mechanics, and everybody that you have working there. Please let them know, and I look forward soon to going out and taking another ride on a bus real soon. But thank you so much. Oh, my first ride, I think I was there when they had the augmented funding. I was on that bus.
So, yeah, thank you. And we do have a great team. So thank you. I'll let them know.
Thank you. I don't have any questions.
What year? Do you remember what year we ended the high school busing?
I wasn't here, so I'm not exactly sure when that happened. To be honest with you, I know it's been a while. I think it was during some of the recent
maybe 2000
recent some of those budget cuts that happened when they kind of realigned the distances and the high school busing. Yes.
Recession. Yeah. Thank goodness the Sunbus steps up. Is that grant going to be, do you think that's something that they'll continue for the high schools and junior college students?
Everything in my conversations is that, yes, they'll continue to have that. I mean, I think even now more even just because of, the current state of affairs and everything that's going on. But they will normally reach out to us and let us know, and there hasn't been any talk about this, about this funding not being available. So
It's like it goes school year to school year, probably.
yeah.
I know with our attendance issues and it just being one less barrier for families to have to worry about, and the fact that we're going to extend our busing to the other kids, I'm just wondering, is this already in effect that you've done this, or will you be reaching out to each family and saying, each busing family and saying, hey, did you know we can have your 5th grader or your 7th grader ride with your, kindergartner or whatever?
Yeah, we will be. We haven't reached out to the families yet. As it just recently changed within the last month, I think it was.
Right.
So we're still in the process. We're also trying to get this plan out and get this adopted so that we can receive the funding. So there is a lot that we're doing, but yeah, we will be sending communications out, and we'll have a really strong push to letting the schools know once school starts back again at our normal registrations, but we will be sending stuff out, yes.
So none of the kids are taking advantage of it during this March, April, May period?
Not at this time, but we will be communicating for those that do. So we have parents that ask for busing all the time.
Oh.
So if the parents that are currently asking for busing, request busing, if they fall in those areas, we're giving them those guidelines, and then we're going from there.
Okay, thank you for your report.
Yeah.
So to piggyback off her question, so let's say Indio Hills, if we have a high school student in Indio Hills, they don't have transportation?
For high school, we currently transport to Indio Hills. So that is something outside of what we do, but Indio High School, right, Shadow Hills High School up to Indio Hills does receive busing at this point, yes.
Okay, well, good to hear, because we're trying to get attendance.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure I understood the part about your example. If you had a student, let's say there's a family attending elementary school ABC, and they have a 2nd grader, let's say Johnny's in 2nd grade, but the sister Susie's in 4th grade, so Johnny can ride the bus, but Susie's told to stay?
It depends on their distance from the school. So
no, if they qualify.
Yeah, so if
2nd grader qualifies.
Yeah, so say if they're a mile away, say they live a mile away, then the 2nd grader would qualify because they're within, they're outside of the 3/4 of a mile. But the 4th grader is only a mile away, and the distance for them is 1 mile and a half mile. So that student wouldn't qualify the way that it was, the way that those boundaries are set. But
Was or is?
What's that?
Was or is?
Well, the boundaries, those radiuses are still there, but that gives them the opportunity to ask for transportation. If we have room on the bus, then we will provide the transportation to that student, to both students, yes.
So currently they're able to get on the bus?
If they request it, yes. Now, if they request it, since it was adopted by the board, that change in the plan. What's that?
That was recent.
Yeah, recent, exactly, yes.
But I'm just saying, before, I wasn't aware that.
Just to answer your question,
the
yes.
4th grader gets to stay.
Yeah, there is that separation. So one side of the family would essentially qualify for transportation, and the sibling wouldn't. This policy that the board, everyone on on the dais now approved a policy that amends that to allow for both siblings to be transported.
My next question is, you mentioned electric buses, right? Currently, we don't have any?
We do not currently have any.
Got it. But we are looking for funding to help support that?
We are applying for grants, which hopefully could cover some infrastructure, which is a big part of that. And then we would like to lead in with the special services buses, because there's been an issue with range. So those buses would allow us to stay local and not have an issue with range. But we are currently in the process of applying for grants.
Got it. You said in most cases students are in AC, but in some cases they're not then?
Well, a situation where a bus is down, say for instance, we have 2 or 3 buses that are down and we get down that far to where a bus that we would have to use doesn't have AC. If that was the case, then we would make sure that that bus is used in a situation where those students wouldn't be on the bus very long. But we do have situations. We haven't had any usually during the summer where that's happening, but there is situations where we get down to a bus or 2 that might not have AC, but it's not something that happens within the last year, not something that happens very often at all.
And we have 105 buses, but only 71 drivers. So the buses are rotated?
Yes, buses are rotated, and then because buses are so highly regulated by the CHP, we could have at any one time, we could have 20 to 25 buses down being serviced. They have to be serviced every 3,000 miles or 45 days. So the demand on those is very, very strict. So we could have buses down all the time. So.
That's it, sir. Thank you so much for the presentation.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions, but I just want to say that the buses always look amazing. You have an excellent staff. The buses are always clean. Whenever I'm driving around, I've never seen a dirty bus for Desert Sands. And anyway, I think it's great because a lot of times I see buses and it's like they're half empty. You see all these little kids, and so I think it's a great way to utilize just the transportation, and it definitely will help parents out for not having to drive one and have one take a bus. So that's really wonderful. So thank you so much. And it makes sense to me. You've got 105 buses and 57 routes, so you've always got ample enough of buses to be able to have one not working or service. So,
exactly.
But thank you so much. I appreciate it, Chuck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks, Jordan. Okay, public hearing. We have 4 public hearings. Public hearing number 04-2022 to 2023, Desert Sands Unified School District's initial proposal to negotiate with the California School Employees Association, Chapter 106, for the 2023-2024 school year. We will now open it up at 8:37. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter may approach the podium. Seeing none, we will now close this public hearing at 8:37. Public hearing number 05-2022 to 2023, California School Employees Association, Chapter 106's initial proposal to negotiate with the Desert Sands Unified School District for the 2023-2024 school year. We will now open it up at 38. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter may approach the podium.
Good evening. I'm Andrew Parra, CSA president. So just looking forward, I know you guys saw our initial proposal, so look forward to meeting with the district team again. We collaborate very well. We've, signed MOUs where other districts just don't. So looking forward to it. Jordan, when he releases that wallet.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay. We will now close public hearing at 8:39. Public hearing number 06-2022 to 2023, Desert Sands Unified School District's initial proposal to negotiate with the Desert Sands Teachers Association, California Teachers Association, National Education Association for the 2023-2024 school year. We will now open up at 8:39. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter may approach the podium. Seeing none, we will close this public hearing at 8:40. Public hearing number 07-2022-2023, Desert Sands Teachers Association, California Teachers Association, National Education Association's initial proposal to negotiate with the Desert Sands Unified School District for the 2023-2024 school year. We will now open it at 8:40. Anyone wishing to speak on this matter may approach the podium.
Good evening, Cabinet and Board. I'm Trina Gonzalez-Alisi. I'm the Desert Sands Teachers Association president. I had DSTA's full bargaining team here earlier, and we introduced ourselves to you. But I just wanted to take a moment during the public hearing portion to mention that we also look forward to the negotiation cycle. We have a very strong team this year. I'm really excited about some of the changes that we've made. And I have no doubt that we'll be able to work really well with the district as we continue our great relationship with Desert Sands School District. Thank you.
Thank you, Trina. Okay, so we will close this public hearing at 8:41. Board and Superintendent comments. I am going to read a statement. School calendar statement. As you can see, the 23-24 calendar is on the board agenda tonight. This calendar was previously approved and has been posted for over a year. I want the community to know that we did hear you and your concerns regarding the extreme heat at the start of the school year. Out of respect for the community, we are not changing this calendar as families have made plans around the existing calendar. We want the community to know that we did hear you and we are also concerned about the heat. Staff is working with each school site to ensure that heat mitigation plans are in place, identify necessary equipment that will be needed for each site, and we have also asked the calendar committee to consider starting school later for the 24-25 school year and beyond. We will be sending out a survey before the end of the school year to allow families to provide feedback on the school calendars moving forward. Okay, and these are board member comments. So Mia, do you have any comments?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Ran. Okay, Dr. Watson.
I'll be quick. I had a pretty quiet couple of weeks. I went to Indio Middle School for pastries with Principal Herrera. We all attended the governance meeting, which I think was very successful and productive. And then Ms. Pierce and I attended Math Field Day on this Saturday with all of the elementary schools. That's it.
Pierce?
Yes, I attended the Coffee with Kelly that she has instituted this year every couple months at a different school site. And so this one was at Madison, so we went there. And then with Trustee Porras, we visited Horizon School and Summit High School and Head Start over at the district office. I was one of the trustees that went up to the California with Mr. Duran and Mrs. Porras up to the California League of Schools in Monterey, and where we watched also. Oh my gosh, her name slipped my mind. No, well, Palm Desert Charter Middle School was honored as a school to watch. It's a middle school organization, but Katie Stahl. I'm so sorry. Katie Stahl was honored as a Teacher of the Year for that organization as well. And by the way, the electricity was out for 2 days in Monterey. That was interesting. I then went to visit Franklin School on my own, visited with Dr. Grass, and the Adams Early Childhood Education Center over there in La Quinta as well. And I think also the Math Field Day was a great event. As Dr. Watson indicated, we spent the whole morning there touring classrooms and events, and and seeing all the energy there with 500 and some kids participating for the elementary math field day. Thank you.
Yes. Hello, everyone. So looking forward to a speedy agreement with our bargaining unit. So we appreciate the relationship that we have and looking forward to resolving that as soon as possible. 2 weekends ago, we did have a Kinwood competition. It's a regional competition. Looking forward to when many in our region, so it's not just a valley, but it's a regional competition. Looking to see us participate more than what was represented there at the time, but looking forward to building that up here. Did have some students from my school win and going to national, so I wanted to just note that the more schools that are participating across the whole Southern California area, it's just a great event. It's called the Kidwin Challenge. So it's pretty awesome. It was hosted by Palm Springs Unified at Desert Hot Springs High School. Being that we have a lot of wind energy here in the valley is just an appropriate setting. So just wanted to shout out to that organization as we prepare to compete with everyone else across the nation. And attended, thank you to Madison School for hosting the Coffee with Kelly. Did a great job and got an opportunity to speak to some of the parents and staff from the school and just hearing their thoughts on some of the current issues that we're dealing with. So, you know, we do hear your voices and it lends a voice to the perspectives when we're having our discussion. So thank you to the teachers at Madison Elementary for sharing. And just looking forward to continuing to visit more of the sites. So thank you all.
Ms. Pierce already said what we did. So we did go to Monterey, and Monterey, the whole city was out. There was no power the whole time we were there. So that was a really interesting experience. So, but it was great to go and support Palm Desert Charter. So congratulations to them. And Laura, do you have anything you'd like to say?
No, I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay, so now we are moving on to public comments on open session items. Communications from the floor in accordance with bylaws of the board, number 9323, 62519. Time is reserved for oral communications by members of the Board of Education or by citizens present. Citizens wishing to be heard on agenda items, regular or special meetings, and or non-agenda items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, regular meetings only, shall have a 3-minute limit. In accordance with the law, the board cannot take action on any item not appearing on the agenda as indicated in the bylaws of the board, number 9323.2, 62519. Kaya Wirtz.
Good evening. I'm here to represent the SLPs and the nurses. On your agenda tonight is a revised MOU for the purposes of recruitment for the coming year. The revised MOU includes measures of retention and pay equity for our team. So we wanted to come tonight and express our gratitude to DSTA and to Desert Sands for making that happen for us and arranging that. We would also like to express our gratitude to the Board of Education for your support and your comments at the February board meeting, and we look forward to continuing to work together to support special education students. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Hi, good evening. It's been a while. I've gotten a couple of phone calls recently, which is no big deal, regarding board meeting times. This is a subject that's been coming up since I've been here for 23 years. Last time it probably came up in front of you, Mike, you were probably the only one that was present, okay? Let me give you a little history on our union. CSEA executive offices are in San Jose. Their board meetings are on Saturday mornings at 9:30. Half of them are in San Jose, the other half are at different school districts that have requested them to be there. They were here one time, which was wonderful. It was a great 2-day event. After the San Jose executive offices were broken down into areas throughout the state. Desert Sands is in Area F. Area F broken down into Region 10, along with Copper Mountain. I used to be the regional rep. I should know this off the top of my head. Copper Mountain, Morongo, come down the hill to COD, us, CV, Desert Center, Palo Verde, Community College, and Unified, which is Blythe. And before the all the redistricting, Banning and Beaumont were also in our region. All of those, except Desert Sands, their starting time for their board meetings are either 5, 5:30, 6 at the latest. The reason that this is important is because we're taking hundreds, literally hundreds of people out of an opportunity to come here and be part of this. People like, I don't know, maybe bus drivers who have to be at work at 5, nutrition people, which is both people that I got calls from were from nutrition services, who were interested in coming, but you know, they got to get up at 3:30. It's hard enough when you have to be to work at 7 to deal with this. At the very least, move these public comments up in the agenda. Here we are, 10 to 9. I've done it where it's been 9:30, quarter to 10 at night, we're still not on it. So I think in order to serve the very people who voted you into office here, you might want to consider, talk about it, see about an earlier start time, and at the very least, moving public comments up to the beginning of the agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jody Davis.
To inspire and nurture every student, one opportunity at a time. The mission statement of Desert Sands Unified School District. But yet, inevitably, dealing with humans, some fall through the cracks. An 8th grader who drank almost every day and snuck out of her house at night to go to parties and didn't care about school. Another girl who got into fights constantly in junior high and was known to be by being disrespectful. She had repeatedly been sent home suspended for altercations and disrespect. 2 years ago, I could talk another hour about the need for us to catch them at a young age, keep them away from all the problems that they're finding out there. I'm asking you to consider a wrestling facility, for you to build a room with 4 walls and a roof, no special lighting, no hardwood floors, just a bare minimum space big enough to hold my vision and my dreams. I believe that people are put into certain positions at certain times for certain reasons. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our time, and these kids are our reason. Thank you.
Thank you. We have one online public comment from Tricia Ryan. Good evening. As a long-time Desert Sands employee, I want to welcome new board members. Thank you for your dedication to Desert Sands students. In my 30-plus years as a district teacher, I have attended board meetings in all of those years, at least once a year, but more often, usually without making any public comments, but just to be an informed teacher and later a parent of 3 DSUSD graduates. I am writing to ask to be placed on the calendar committee for the 2024-2025 and for the future years. I have asked numerous times through DSTA and then later through the district office, and then finally I had to public state my case at board meetings. I would be an excellent candidate as I would consider all levels of our students from pre-K through high school. Also, I am familiar with many district school site facilities as I was a substitute administrator for a few years and spent time on many campuses. I like to think outside the box and have spent time discussing this with former board member Don Griffith. I appreciate your time and look forward to helping the district move forward with a calendar that will address the concerns that many families and staff had last August. Thank you. And that concludes our public comments. Okay, general functions, business services. There are 2 items in general functions, business services. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Make a motion to take items 17.1 and 2 as a group. Tricia
Second.
Pierce.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second. Mia Burr.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. Preferential vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with 1 preferential vote. General functions, educational services, there are none. General functions, personnel services. There are now 5 items on this, as 1 was removed, item 19.2 in general functions, personnel services. Since this is a personnel matter, our student board member will not be voting. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Make a motion to take 19.1 and 19.3, 4, and 5 as a group.
Is there a second?
Oh, 6. I missed you. 19.6. I didn't read down far enough. Sorry.
Second by Alvarez.
Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All the, oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
I do want to
Sorry.
say that I'm happy to see 19.4 and the negotiations to that MOU from DSTA and DSUSD.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The employment incentive memorandum that we were able to give to the speech and language pathologists, nurses, et cetera, to make that a fair compensation for them is really good that we went back and handled that.
I share the same sentiment.
Okay, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, general functions, student support services, there are none. General functions, superintendent, there is none. Consent items, student matters, Laura Fisher.
Yes, tonight in closed session, the board took action to approve the following student matter. Stipulated expulsion case 2223-64 on a motion made by Mr. Alvarez and seconded by Mr. Duran and carried 5-0. The board accepted the recommendation of the stipulated expulsion order.
23, consent items, business services. There are 9 consent items for business services. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually? Is there a second?
Alvarez.
Any discussion?
On item 23.1, on the amendment to the contracts, I just, and looking through the companies, a lot of them are out-of-town companies. Maybe it's too late for this one, but, we're spending a lot of money. I want to study that more and see, keeping money local. If we're going to be asking people to get taxed on stuff, but all the money's leaving our valley, that's just something that stood out to me. So if we're going to be dishing out a lot of funds, I am interested in looking at how we can keep some of the money within our valley and keeping our people employed. And that's sort of what I want to say.
Is it my understanding, though, Mr. Aquino, that these are put out for bid by law, and it's on some, I imagine, some website that they go to that anybody in any area can bid throughout California, including our valley, right? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, so we go out to bid on these projects for all the different trades and basically are looking at making sure that they're fulfilling all the bid doc requirements and looking at price. Now, some of those vendors can be local and bid, and depending on the trade, sometimes you'll see a huge variation. So, it just comes to a matter of whether some of our locals are willing to put their best foot forward in order to achieve a low price, so we could make sure that we're, again, making it competitive.
Hearing none, calls for the question, preferential vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with one preferential vote. Okay, consent items, educational services. There are 10 consent items on educational services. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Motion to take them as a group, 24.1 through 10.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Mia, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question, preferential vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with one preferential vote. Number 25, consent items, personnel services. There are none. 26, consent items, student support services. There are 7 consent items for student support services. Is there a motion to take these as a group or individually?
Items 26, 1 through 7 as a group.
Is there a second? Mia, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question, preferential vote.
Aye.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 6-0 with one preferential vote. Number 27, consent items, superintendent. There are none. Number 28, personnel actions certificated. Dr. Hyde.
Good evening. I'm very excited to announce 4 retirees for our illustrious certificated group. And first off, I'd like to recognize Carol Bailey, who's at Dr. Carrion Academy, who's retiring after 32 years of service. Second, I'd like to recognize Trudy Nevins, who's retiring after 33 years from Lincoln Elementary School. Kimberly Peterson at Palm Desert Charter Middle School is retiring after 29 years of service. Certainly not least is Lisa Sullivan, who is currently assigned to Educational Services, and she's retiring after 33 years of service to the district.
Wow.
These employees have contributed 127 years of service to the district.
Okay, so since this is a personnel item, our student board member will not be voting. Is there a motion to approve this recommendation?
Madam President, may point of order. Is this the one, am I on this? I have to not vote, right?
Actually, you were not on the agenda, sir.
Okay.
You're good.
Because I thought wasn't
You're
sure
good.
if it was on. Okay.
It's only for paid items. I found out later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. All right.
Make a motion to approve 28.1.
Is there a second? Second. Interesting, okay. Any discussion?
I just want to echo the sentiments there. Carol, I see you there. Congratulations on a well-deserved career. You're a fabulous educator, fabulous leader, and it's a pleasure and honor to see you here this evening. You, along with the other colleagues, it just warms my heart to see you and the others I know that aren't here but maybe at home listening. Congratulations to them also too. But Carol Bailey, my applause to you.
I too would like to congratulate you, Carol, after knowing you for more than 30 years and all the children that you've served, and I know that they will miss your character and your caring and love in the classroom, as well as many of us colleagues. So, and all the other 3 that are retiring as well, congratulations to you all.
Enjoying getting to meet you and learn about what you're doing at the school site. So thank you very much for your service, and best of luck on your new chapter.
Congratulations, Carol. I just want to say that whenever I've gone to the schools, the kids just love you. So you are definitely going to be missed. And anyway, what are you going to do now?
Whatever she wants.
There you go. Sleep in, right? There you go. Anyway, congratulations and enjoy your retirement. Okay, so calls for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Personnel actions classified. Dr. Hyde.
Okay, again, I'm excited. I have 2 retirements to announce. The first one is Maria Camacho de Vasquez, who is a paraeducator bilingual with Head Start at Johnson Elementary School and is retiring after 17 years of service to the district. Second is Francine Mathy from Johnson Elementary School, where she serves as a library specialist. She's retiring after 7 years of service to the district. So again, congratulations to both of these employees. 24 years of combined service to the district.
Thank you. Okay, since this is another personnel item, our student board member will not be voting. Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
I make a motion that we approve personnel actions 29.1. Tricia Pierce.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, calls for the question. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Okay, call out for closed session actions. Laura Fisher.
Yes, thank you. Tonight in closed session, the board took action to approve General Release and Settlement Agreement, SSS, number 15, 2022-2023. Motion made by Ms. Pierce, seconded by Mr. Duran. Motion carried 5-0. Number 2, General Release and Settlement Agreement, SSS, number 16, 2022-2023. Motion made by Mr. Duran, seconded by Mr. Alvarez. Motion carried 5-0. In closed session, the board took action to accept the resignation agreement for classified employee number 257604, paraeducator, under the terms of a settlement agreement. Passed with a motion by Mr. Alvarez, a second by Dr. Watson. Roll call vote was unanimous. Tonight in closed session, the board took action on settlement claim number 21-L-011 on a motion made by Ms. Pierce, seconded by Mr. Duran, and carried 5-0. The board took action to approve the settlement claim number 21-L-011. And that is it.
Suggestions for future agendas that receive at least 3 votes. Mia? Okay, thank you. Mr. Duran?
The only thing I'd like to say is I just wanted to compliment Coach Davis that was here today. And I've coached for a long time. And when you see that type of passion, there's a saying that says, Joe, forgive me here, you feed a drill bit, right? You feed a drill bit. He's drilling. That's all I'm going to say.
Dr. Watson?
Nothing.
Ms. Pierce?
I have no suggestions. Thank you.
Mr. Alvarez?
None at this time.
And I have none. But I just want to say thank you, Laura, for filling in for Dr. May Vollmer.
You're so welcome.
Did an awesome job.
Thank
We
you.
missed her.
Yes.
And I can't wait to hear her TED Talk. So
Yes.
everybody go on YouTube and watch Dr. May Vollmer do her TED Talk.
We saw pictures. She looked
Yeah.
fabulous just in the pictures, so I
Yeah.
can't imagine what it sounded like.
Yeah, we're super excited. And it was a 10-minute talk, and she said she loved it because she bragged about DSUSD. So super excited to hear that. Anyway, okay, announcements. The next regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Education will be April 4th, 2023, in the District Education Boardroom, 47950 Dune Palms Road, La Quinta, California, 92253. We do not need to reconvene to closed session, so this meeting is adjourned at 9:11. Thank you so much.